Hello gamers! Welcome to another Zenless video. Sorry about the upload schedule. Life, is what it is. But as you know, I like to cover Pride Wins tier list updates and everything, and well, they did a pretty massive update since the 1.0 release for the tier list on Zenless. They added a whole new category for anomaly characters, right? And so I wanted to go over this real quickly. Okay, well not quickly. These videos I yap a lot, but you get the idea. I want to give my thoughts, where each character is placed, in the tier list, and I could even bring up my own tier list even. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. I noticed another change. Okay, so from last night, they made another change and it's Corin's placement. I guess I could talk about that as well, but anyways, you get the gist, right? Funny tier list video, right? Let's go over it. So, Hoyoverse or not Hoyoverse, Pride One, right? They have updated their criteria, everything, blah blah blah. Normally I would read this, but I think it's pretty straightforward. DPS characters, how much damage they can do with their best team, makes sense. Anomaly DPS characters, how good they are at doing anomaly things, makes sense, right? Stun characters, how good they are at stunning, right? And in this case, there's also defensive characters right now. Now that's a different topic, right? Because we only have the one right now. We're gonna get another one soon. But yeah, again, that one's a bit here or there. And then obviously support characters. It's pretty much self-explanatory for this game in that regard. As for the change log, so they've made a lot of changes. One change that was literally yesterday, or today actually, I guess it happened right as I pulled up the webpage. Corrin got it, increase, right? So let's look at the overall changes. So they bumped Ambi up mainly because she's, been a strong stunner overall in the mode, so that's pretty nice. And then blah blah blah, yeah, I don't think there's anything there. You guys get the idea. Ambi is actually a really potent stunner. She does a lot of daze damage when used right. You do her combo, her parry, and all that. Really strong. Typically, you can get Ambi to stun like a well-built Ambi, or just even not even well-built. You can get her to stun basically everything within like 2 combos, right? So like she does a really good amount of daze damage, and so I think that's justified of putting her up purely because of the amount of daze damage she outputs. And past that, again, there's not really much there. Uh, Koleda, I'm assuming the reason that they're making them equal ranks is because Koleda, in terms of stunning, is about the same, if not or worse. Like again, I can't really say for sure. I haven't had too much use of her, but she does have an ability that does make her stronger in some regards. That she boosts your chain attack damage, right? Now, nothing's going to be as strong as Lycan's ability, where it's just a straight up 35% increase of the multiplier. But for Kaleda, at least with her, you do get a chain damage boost, right? So your DPS will do a bit more damage in that regard. Moving up, let's see. They've been looking into Corrin, and then of course the Corrin change up here. Nicole from T2 to T1. The community blah, smooth the play. We agree. Nicole's specialized in finishing off the chain attack. Yeah, okay. So I did already read this. The main thing here is that Nicole's buff is very strong, right? And they moved her up, because of that, right? Again, you can't make full use of it due to how short the buff lasts. It's like a 3.5-second buff. Now, granted, it'll last a bit longer than that, maybe like overall 6 seconds because of the duration of the actual, bubble that goes off. But if you can make use of it, it's really high damage for that burst window. So like Ellen Joe, you can do a chain attack into an ultimate to get really high damage off, right? Or pretty much any character, right? So it's a pretty solid overall ability. With Zhu Wan, it's going to be pretty strong, I'd say, for that reason, because as long as you have the ultimate up, you can just, nuke the battlefield. So it's going to be pretty powerful. Plus, her other ability gives her increased Aether damage, right? So you'll get, Aether damage increase on top of your defense shred, and you'll get a bunch of powerful effects, right? So it'll be pretty good. As for Soukaku, they moved her up to T0. Now, I do think it's funny. So their tier list does not include dupes. For me personally, I like doing things overall, right? So like, it's gonna be like a range of dupes. So it's like how bad a character could possibly be versus how good they can possibly be. Let's average it out to see how good overall the character is really, right? That's sort of like how I think about it. Now, of course, they're not considering dupes for 4 stars. Normally, what they do is as time goes on, they'll increase the amount of dupes. Soukaku, I think even without dupes, is still the best support in the game without question. She's just stupid. Like, she's doing a whole lot. for a whole like for without like having to invest in her whatsoever. It's kind of crazy what she has access to, just right out the gate, right, without even like needing weapons or like anything like that. Like she's doing a whole lot for the team, and again, I'll get to that. But Soukaku, I think this is valid even at 0 dupes. However, once you start getting dupes on her, it's like not even close. Like I mean, I think with dupes, because I'm not gonna lie, I could consider myself a hardcore Rena hater, probably because I pulled her twice on my main account, or my only account actually. I pulled her twice. I don't want her. I don't think she's even worth, like, I don't think she has that much value, to be honest with you. Right? Might be a hot take, but I see like zero value in actually holding on to Rena. I am not a fan of this character whatsoever. But again, that's besides the point. Point is, I think Soukaku is by far clearly the best support in the game at the moment, right? I know some people said like Lucy was Bennett or something like that. Whatever. I do think Lucy's competitive. However, the main problem I think with Lucy is that until you get her second dupe, she doesn't proc her effect on chain attack like Soukaku can, right? Because Soukaku will automatically activate her hold skill, and you'll get the effect immediately every time you do a chain attack. Lucy does not give you the effect unless you get her second dupe, right? And that is the number one thing right there, because Lucy, if she can get her effect up, is almost as strong because she has her ally, like all the bang boos, like your little army that you spawn in gets the damage boost as well. So as long as they're attacking as well, the damage obviously gets closer to what Soukaku can do. But it's never going to be as good because Soukaku just has flat out stronger buffs, right? But besides the point, as I was saying, I think it's valid to put Soukaku up there with what she can do, just overall. And Lucy is just as good in some scenarios, but you really need that dupe for her to perform at that level, in my opinion. And then they obviously added anomaly tier, which I do think is valid because anomalies. Here's the thing: whenever this game first came out, I was a bit on anomaly characters. I wasn't vibing with it. But after reading like a write up that somebody did over how anomaly works, I'm actually fully on board with anomaly characters, and I think anomaly is actually going to be one of the strongest options in the game overall to run. I think it might even be better than just regular DPS characters to just straight up run anomaly, because anomaly when played into correctly is like actually stupid strong, and it's effectively every other proc you get ultimate equivalent damage, if not in more, actually more than ultimate equivalent damage, because the multiplier is like 2000% of your attack. It's 2000. Hold on, I have it right here. Yeah. So the multiplier of how it works with specifically shock distortion, you can get over 2750 like attack multiplier, which is legit the equivalent of like an ultimate in this game. But you do it like every other time you proc anomaly, which is kind of stupid. Now, again, that's a whole nother thing. But point is, I think anomaly is actually super strong, and with the right setup, can probably be stronger than like a traditional DPS. And it's a different, like the way they went about with anomalies in this game, I think is really interesting. I'm very confused on some of the like calculations they did for it, but like as for anomalies themselves, I think it's pretty interesting because like you have your attack scaling that would be the same for both anomaly DPS and crit DPS. But instead of building crit rate and crit damage on a regular DPS, for anomaly you build anomaly proficiency and anomaly mastery. So it's like the same thing where you build those 3 core stats, but it's just a different set of 3 core stats, right? So yeah, very interesting setup they got going on here with anomaly characters. I kind of like it, right? Now that I actually understand how anomaly works. But again, I'll get into this in a moment. I do think this is probably pretty valid. But with some setups, you could probably actually bump both of them up. But that's a different video. Talking about why these characters could be stronger than every other DPS. But that's besides the point. I will say though, if you are looking for anomaly damage, keep an eye out for any shock and physical characters that are anomaly, right? Those two are the most important ones, and those two are the strongest for distortion effects in anomaly-based teams. Outside of that, you're looking for ice, because ice is also really strong. It's kind of like it's realistically gonna be a weaker fizz for anomaly-based teams, but outside of that, it's gonna be really strong. Like ice increases your crit, so your crit damage So, you know, like Ellen, it's really good for. That being said, we have Corrin, who got moved up. They did some damage calculations testing her. She's one of the highest burst damage potential in the game during enemy stun window, but only when she has her ultimate and EX special available. To offset this strength, however, she has one of the worst standard rotation in the game. That's crazy. Being so bad, fully executing it without interruption is a serious challenge. Even if you do so, the damage is poor. Not using Corrin's standard rotation should either go to move where there's some issues avoiding it completely. EX blah blah blah. Okay. Corrin's high burst. Is she really that bad? Like, I don't know if she's really that bad. They're saying she's terrible outside of her EX special. I mean, to be fair, the whole point of her is to just put like lock onto one enemy and go. So I guess, but damn, I don't know. I think with dupes, she's definitely gonna be more potent, but I guess I'll have to agree. Some of these characters, they don't feel good to use, and it's really just the DPS characters. And my main gripe is against Billy. I just don't think he's good, flat out. I just don't think he's good. Yeah, it is what it is, right? But yeah, let's hop into the actual list. So what we have here for pure DPS characters, we have Ellen Joe, who is gapping everybody else. I mean, it's realistically it's not gapping too much because that's 0.0, right, or 0.5 in there, but you get what I'm saying. So Ellen Joe, clearly the best DPS in the game without question. Very potent character. And again, me having both Ellen Joe and Nekomata, who is contender for next, like, second best, I definitely do feel a difference, and it's primarily because of Ellen Joe having a stronger support access to. Soukaku, if Soukaku had like physical debuffing, then Nekomata has an argument for being higher up. But as of right now, Ellen Joe just has a stronger synergy with characters in the game, right? Even in a free-to-play team, you just run Ambi without her passive active, right? Because the only thing you're missing here is the dodge counter thing, which, fuck the energy gain. Nobody needs this, right? So, again, it's totally viable to run Ellen Joe, a free character. You're locked in, right? So, Ellen Joe, clearly, without question, I don't even need to yap about it. Number 1 DPS in the game at the moment. It's just too free. As for the other two, Nekomata and Soldier 11, I 100% agree that they're on the same par. Soldier 11 can be more potent with correct combos, but it's like the duration to do that combo versus your actual burst damage and like the uptime you have whenever you daze an enemy, right? Because you stun an enemy, you got a couple seconds, you know, maximize your DPS output, get your ults in, you know, all that stuff. I think Soldier 11 has an argument for being better than Nekomata. She just doesn't have a team right now. The main thing you need for Soldier 11 to pop off is Lucy, right? However, it runs into that same problem I said earlier. Lucy does not get full output until she's at least, you know, 2 dupes in M2. You don't get the bonus on chain attack. So if you were to chain attack into Lucy, you then have to swap back into Lucy, proc your buff, and then go into Soldier 11, and that wastes time. Or before you break, you go into Lucy, proc your buff, but then you're wasting your buff uptime as well, right? So without having those extra dupes, Lucy is struggling in terms of like a buffer. And again, there's the whole quick assist thing. She has it, which is really strong, but like you should be able to proc it regardless of when you use the ability. It only procs for her if your minion hits it. So if an enemy moves out of like the like, you know, shotgun blast she does with her 3 pigs, you will just drop the quick assist. The other characters don't have that issue because they, you know, target the enemy. And so again, like, I'm not like trying to bash on Lucy. She's very potent, and you know, I like using her. And I actually do even have the second dupe, but you are just straight up missing out on opportunities for damage with that character, right? And Soldier 11 really does want the additional character because that's, you know, more fire damage, and when they're stunned, you get even more fire damage, right? So you really want to have that, and not having any members of her faction definitely, you know, attributes to not being that strong, right? And her team is decently potent. Koleda, you know, Lucy, right, are Ben. But like again, like there's those requirements you got to hit to actually make it be that potent. And so I do think there is, you know, some drawback or opportunity cost for Soldier 11 to actually do her damage. As for Nekomata, it's a bit more free flow. Now, her passive is also pretty restrictive, needing anomaly proc, so you need to proc physical anomaly. Now, you do have some options with like Piper running her as, you know, a sub DPS for Nekomata or slash Breaker. Now, I do kind of want to run Piper as an impact character, but it's kind of iffy. And investment wise right now, especially for free to play, it's screwed up, right? I can't really invest in the way I want to because, you know, I still got to progress the game, right? Free to plays, you know, it's gonna be tight on resources, so you gotta be careful with who you're leveling. But yeah, Nekomata does have options outside of that. You know, of course, there's always Ambi, and then you can run any of the other breakers, and it works just fine. It's just, if you want to make use of the actual passive and get a nice, you know, 35 or even 70% damage on your EX skill, which is going to contribute a lot to your overall DPS rotation, you're going to want to run a character like Ambi or Piper on the team to actually proc her passive. Now, granted, with Ambi, you're not going to proc it nearly as much. You're just going to get it every once in a while, but like one of these two characters is going to matter. And obviously for support characters, you have the same roster support characters. I think Nicole is viable if you are trying to do a really quick burst rotation. Otherwise, again, it's Lucy who I think is the next best option for Nekomata specifically. However, and well, another thing there is that Lucy works well and she'll proc her passive off Piper, and that's why Lucy is so good in this slot. However, as I've been saying 50 times over, she needs that second dupe because, you know, you'll actually get the buff when you do your chain attacks. As for Anton, or yeah, I think it's Anton Corrin. Again, I thought Corrin was probably better, but I don't have enough experience to comment. And as for Anton, I'm not huge on how he functions overall, and it's very obvious that the other characters do more damage, right? As for Billy in that T3 alone by himself, right? My fat head is covering him. If we're being real, he's just not good. He's not good. Sure, he gets better with dupes, just like every character, right? But when your first dupe is energy recharge, and then you get counter damage, which look, he's just not good, guys. He's just not good. He does low damage, and he feels weird to play, and his dupes aren't even that strong. Like, I'm sorry, but Billy is not good. I don't know. There's the whole thing with his, you know, signature abilities and stuff where you have to be a certain distance from the enemy, and that just plays bad, right? I I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Like, Billy just isn't good. I'm sure there's somebody that's gonna pop off of Billy, but at least for me, right? I think every other character feels better to play, and I know for sure they just do more damage, right? Is what it is. Grace and Piper. I'm gonna talk about these two together because of how Shock Anomaly works. Or yeah, specifically because Shock Anomaly. Anomaly is actually super strong, as I said earlier. I do think it's gonna be more potent than crit characters in a lot of scenarios, especially if you have double type advantage. So if the enemy is weak to both shock and physical, for example, you're gonna do stupid amounts of damage that's just gonna out DPS whatever else you actually could do on that enemy, right? So like specifically these two together, the way Shock Anomaly works is that if you proc Distortion while Shock is active, it's going to trigger all remaining Shock procs, but then add 6. And that's where you get this 2,750 multiplier, because it's like 125 per Shock proc. And so when you go from 16 total Shock procs over 20 seconds and reduce it to 1 second, 22 procs of Shock, you get to see where that gets crazy. Because then you could just reapply the other element. And then you do it again. And then you do it again, right? It gets stupid strong with these two together. And because Grace effectively and completely, like, if you've played Grace, you know that she will, like, one-tap anything and immediately apply Shock. Like, she just one-taps Shock on everything. And then you just can swap to Piper. Spin to win, Distortion, health bar is nuked, right? Because you'll get that Fizz Anomaly, which is like a 712 multiplier, on top of the, you know, another 2,750 multiplier from the Shock being, you know, cleared. And then they just nuke the health bar. Like, Grace in herself was already really strong, but you have to play into anomalies just as much as you do as, like, a crit-based team. And you get so much damage out of it. Like, It's actually crazy what you can get out of this combo right here, with just these two. Grace on her own is going to age very well for this reason, because she instantly applies shock. And so the only way to like power creep Grace in this regard is have a character that just amplifies the damage of anomalies overall, right? Or an attack buffer that's honestly, I don't even know how you like power creep this. Instantly applying shock with high stats is going to be insane. So you would straight up just have to do the same thing but better. To like change that. So like Grace is gonna be huge. As for Piper, the way you power creep this is by making somebody that's just faster physical anomaly. Because as long as they have the same stats, if it's faster, it's just gonna be better in that regard. Which Jane Doe is probably gonna do. Jane Doe, banger character design. But yeah, besides the point, I think these two are very potent and worthy of being up here. I've seen the anomaly damage. It is comparable to whatever Nagamata does, and in some cases more than what Nagamata does. So I think this is very fair to put these two characters here, just overall. I understand why they're not putting Grace up here. Anomaly is one of those things where it's like, if the character could solo Anomaly everything, yeah, put them in T0, right? But if they can't, then you can lower them. But yeah, I think Distortion is very potent with this one setup. Outside of that, the other procs are not anything too crazy, but that's here or there. But this I totally like agree with. These characters are very potent once you actually, you know, put stuff into them, right? So yeah. As for your stunners, right? Lycan is by far and away the best stunner in the game, to where he straight up gaps everybody, and the only way to change him being the best stunner in the game is to make someone stronger than him. But here's the thing. Even the new stunner, I don't even think is that much stronger than him. I've already seen the information. I still think he is T0. You can put the new stunner in T0 as well. But honestly, I think Lycan is better. Because they gave him this broken ability going into main game where he just does increased daze damage and then reduces ice res by 25% for 30 seconds. And then you also get the stun damage multiplier for him purely hitting them. No build up, nothing. This is stupid levels of support that he was given. And he is so strong. Like, he's arguably the best character in the game for that, right? It's actually insane. Like, the only way you can power creep this is by, like, doubling his multiplier. Like, doing a small increase, like 5%, isn't enough. Especially if you have to build up to that number. This dude he just outputs it. You would legit have to copy and paste this kit onto a new stunner and then increase the multipliers to make them better than him. Like, it's actually comically dumb how powerful this Lycan is. And he's definitely the #1 standard character that anybody wants on their account. And is definitely the reason why I'm mad I have 2 copies of Rena. Anyways, I'm not going to sit here and, like, simp over Lycan. Just, he's OP. It's just that simple. I've already said what my thoughts on Ambi. She's a very good stunner, free to play. And, yeah, again, I wouldn't replace her even if I got Kaleda. I'm not going to lie. I would still use Ambi. I think Ambi has more, right now, more team value. Kaleda works really well on the fire team, but we only have 3 fire units, and she's one of them. So, again, this roster is very small, and that's part of the problem that a lot of these characters have. And so I just, again, it's really, really that simple. Ben, I did not come up with Ben. I think defense characters are in a weird spot right now. Ben does feel actually pretty nice as a stunner, but he is slow, and so that does mess it up if you're not doing his counters and getting his energy up. With dupes, his damage actually becomes very strong for whatever reason. Like, he gets really high damage out of dupes. And so, yeah, and like, the investment potential for Ben is really high, right? Just, a lot of people are going to overlook it because he's a defense character, and they're in a weird spot right now. Not having so much of a focus on Ben, I do think there is room for defense characters overall. It just depends on what they do. And like, the downsides of not getting as many potent buffs is the main reason why you're not seeing Ben used as much, in my opinion. Because, like, Ben does have some really strong things, like his crit buff. But because he's not providing other things like what Lycan is, he's just going to get overlooked straight out. So maybe in the future we get a defensive character that's providing more than just one thing. And so you're like, okay, wait, I actually want this character. But they got to balance it between their actual defense, right? Because he's providing you shields, you know, counters, whatever, you know, multiple defensive options. that the other stun characters won't provide. And so they're going to have to balance that accordingly, right? Or they can just make a broken defensive character and say screw balance, which I would actually love to see. But yeah, Ben I do think is pretty potent, but he is overshadowed by just do more damage that the other characters do, right? That's pretty much it. But he is providing a lot, right? So for support characters to finish this out, Soukaku's by far and away the best. She's doing everything. So she's doing good damage, right? And mind you, her ult damage here, now you're not going to use her ult often, but her ult damage multiplier is actually higher than Ellen's for whatever reason. Yeah, she's got a really high ult damage multiplier, a good chain attack damage multiplier. You can build her for damage. Now, I know in Pride 1 they don't suggest building her for damage. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the optimal way is to actually build her for damage, because I play her. I've never needed energy recharge. And her multipliers are actually really good. And you only need so much attack to actually make use of her ability, right? Because it's going to be 20% of her attack, if I'm not mistaken, right? Let me remember. Yeah, so once it's maxed out, it's 20% of her attack, right? And so if you take 20% of 2000, which is like a regular attack value for a DPS, it's 400, which is only 100 off of the max amount you can get here. So why not just build her crit stats? What's the point? Like, this is an in-game build, by the way, not a build I would suggest starting out, but I'm definitely going to do this because I don't see a reason not to. Why not just build her crit stats instead of pure attack if she's going to hit that attack value regardless, right? A really well-invested Soukaku is going to hit that attack value no matter what, because here's the thing. That's only 2,000 attack. Base attack values in this game are really high, plus of weapon values, right? So if you take her weapon, 624 attack, it has attack percent on as well. And you take Soukaku overall, where it's got 600 and, you know, this much attack. She's already over 1,000 attack by herself, right? So if she's already at like this attack value times 1.25, brother, I'm almost near her. I'm getting close to her cap with nothing. I'm just going to build her for damage. Like, I think they're tripping, recommending to not build damage. Legitimately, I think, well, okay, well, obviously, I do think this is the way to go, the energy recharge set, because you get the ult damage for everybody, or you get the damage percent for everybody activating your chain attack, which you're going to activate your chain attack. But, like, build Soukaku for damage. It's just going to be an increase, because you don't need that much attack, realistically. Because it caps out. And so past that, well, hell, build her for damage. Like, I think that's, like, the optimal way to do it. But besides that, she provides a very impressive 20% ice damage increase on top of her attack buff. She also has a quick assist active in here with her passive, or it's actually on this one. But she has a quick assist with her ability, right? It's going to build up and give her a damage bonus as well. It's going to do pretty solid damage, right? You're going to get, you know, pretty good hits off on the actual wind vortex overall. And so she's just going to be very, very potent. Of course, if you get dupes, right, she'll get increased duration. She'll, you know, get more bonus damage to herself. She'll get ice res down at the 4th one, which is, this one's huge, right? More resistance down. And then, of course, you'll get more damage in the final thing here. But Soukaku is doing a whole lot for the team, right? So, again, mind you, you get the attack buff, you get the ice damage buff, you get the ice shred buff, you know. We go over to the ability, you get the weapon buff for, you know, her doing damage, right? You get the set buff for her having the set on, right? You're getting a whole lot going on Soukaku, and it's just insane. Like, she's by far and away the best one. Like, getting 1,000 attack for legit doing nothing, because mind you, she will activate her fly the flag, which is her her like special right here, right? She'll activate the fly the flag off of a chain attack, which is insane, and follows up with fly the flag. So you'll get this buff active every single time you use the character. It's insane. Now, her ultimate in itself does provide other powerful effects besides the massive damage increase. So again, her having a higher multiplier than Ellen Joe, but then also being a 4-star, which means you can max it out. And so you'll get an even higher multiplier, which is like insane. But her ult doing more damage than Ellen Joe's, and then giving you other buffs like crit and then energy for the other characters that swap in and out if you do use the ultimate. Soukaku is just insane. This character is actually insane. I think it's very clear with everything she does, the 1,000 attack, everything, best support in the game. Rina, I'm on hate watch for Rina. No, not hate watch. I'm on fraud watch for Rina. Rina, to me, I think is gonna fall off, right? Now, granted, originally when I started this game, I was saying Soldier 11's gonna fall off. I was wrong. Soldier 11's not gonna fall off that hard. I do think the biggest potential for fall off for these base characters is either Koleda or Rina. And you'd be like, there's no way. No, I'm dead serious. Dude, Rina is on fraud watch. Just straight up. She's on fraud watch. Look, her ability of increasing shock's duration is cool, but you don't need that when you're applying distortion. You're just going to reapply shock, right? And sure, a 10% electric damage. I'm excited. Anyways, her ability to increase pin ratio is very potent, right? Defense penetration is strong. However, even though I have E1, unfortunately, I think without E1, she suffers because the duration they stay out on field is very short. E1 massively increases this by giving you an additional 5.5 seconds for them staying on field. So this will actually last for the duration of a like stunned enemy, right? You'll actually get it for your full duration. It also gives you this effect where it's like within 10 meters, you get an extra 130%. I have no idea how this works. I'm not gonna lie to you. I do not see it going into effect on my account. I don't think it's bugged. I just think this is a misleading description. But besides that, what else is this character doing? The main thing I think that's valuable here is that she gets quick assist on EX special, but I honestly think it should be on both. Her damage is pretty solid, but it's a support character that you're going to be building pure penetration on just so that you can get the buff on other characters, right? And they even recommend Anomaly in this case because she works really well with Anomaly teams, right? With the Grace combo. And because of how Anomaly works, right, it's a split ratio of each character who applies the element. You would actually preferably want Anomaly for this. And I don't think she needs the energy. For me, she's got it off field every time. But anyways, I don't see what this character is doing besides the damage penetration, which, granted, is potent. But I just don't think it's worth it. You're getting a little bit of damage penetration. Just run Soukaku or Lucy. You'll get guaranteed damage increase for both characters. And you'll get the bonus of having her minions buff. Or just higher attack value. Because again, it's scaling off your attack. So it's either a little bit of defense penetration. Or both characters get 1,000 attack. You're doing like, 50% more damage from it. Because you're getting a huge attack bonus. Like, Rina is on fraud watch for me, bro. Just straight up. All right. Lucy. I've already said she's very potent. I just think she needs the second dupe for her to excel like crazy. I think it's valid if you play into her to put her in this tier. But in my opinion, before that second dupe, she definitely feels pretty weak. And then Nicole's actually really potent. It's just very short damage window where you can make use of her full abilities. If you're swapping in and out really fast, though, and re-proc it, you can get better burst windows for some characters. So, yeah, that's really about it. I yapped on for... God, English. I'm about to become British. I'm going insane. But yeah, like, subscribe. Check me on Twitch if you want. I think tier list overall is pretty good. Rina's on fraud watch though. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.